Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here. Today we're going to be reviewing The Romans from Season 2 of Classic Doctor Who. First I'll talk about Part 4, and then I'll talk about the story as a whole. I really enjoyed Part 4. As I mentioned in my reviews for Part 2 and 3, I really like the actors in this. The performances have been really good. Hartnell is on fire in this. Vicky, Ian, and Barbara are all great in this. I really like the guy playing Nero because he really does come across as that grown, spoiled child, basically, who likes to get his way, and if he doesn't, you know, he almost pouts. Like when he decides to kill the doctor I like, when he comes to tell him, I've got a great surprise for you, guess what? Oh, you want me to perform in the arena? And you just see him, like his little surprise was ruined. Like when you're telling a joke and someone else says the punchline, you're like, he just, like a little child. I love that. And I love how the doctor taunts him about it too. Oh, I'm sure it'll be a roaring success. Because, of course, Nero wants to sick the lions on him. And he's like, oh, it's, you know, the doctor's like, it's something I can, you know, we got to give them a good performance. Something really sink their teeth into. I just love that. And Nero's just like, but I haven't told a soul. Which, of course, he has. That whole little bit is funny. I like how in this whole story the doctor maintains control of the situation. He never feels out of his depth or 3 steps behind. And even though he's not the one in power there, Nero could kill him with a snap of his fingers, he never feels out of control. 13 could learn a lot of lessons from the first doctor. Very in control of the situation, which the doctor should be. That's who the doctor is. I really like that Ian's friend doesn't kill him at the beginning of episode 4, that he seems like a really good character. The actor playing him is really good. That he spares him and attacks Nero instead. And then you have the little fight between the guards and Ian and his friend. And that's actually a pretty well done fight as well. Not quite as good as the fight at the end of Part 3 with Ian and his friend with their sword fight, but still pretty good. There's a lot going on, so it's kind of hard to keep up with who's who. I actually thought Ian's friend got killed at one point, but it was actually Ian's friend who killed one of the guards. It kind of jumbled up. And then I'm surprised Ian didn't try harder to rescue Barbara right then, but he must have realized just that the odds were against him, so he leaves. And I like that Nero asked the one guard, he's like, so, you're friends with him? And he tells the one soldier, give me a sword. And you think he's going to stab Barbara, but instead he stabs the guards, like, he didn't fight hard enough in the battle. Now, again, that's very Nero. Very, very Nero. You should have fought harder. Could you imagine that? Give me your weapon so I can stab you with it. Boy, that's mentally screwing with somebody, too, yeah. Of course, the guard didn't know he was going to do that, but I really like the performances in this. That's what really sells this. Again, I like the fact that 60s Doctor Who really is very much a teleplay, especially the Hartnell era. And for someone who enjoys theater, seeing it on screen like this, because the sets do look like theatrical sets, which I like. That endures that to me. I sometimes think that that's really a big part of Doctor Who's DNA, is the kind of cheesy effects and cheap sets. I think that's kind of part of what makes Doctor Who Doctor Who. And there's a whole nother video I want to do talking about that at some point. But I enjoy the fact that throughout everything going on, Vicky and the Doctor never run into Ian and Barbara. I didn't quite click that in my head until, I mean, I'd noticed they kept kind of missing each other, but they really never do meet up until the very end when they're back at the little house they started in episode 1. And the Doctor and Vicky never even realized Ian and Barbara left. That's hilarious. I enjoy the scene when the Doctor accidentally sets fire to the map. I mean, he's already talking about the Great Fire and how it should happen any moment now, and how he accidentally sets it with his glasses. I wasn't sure at first if he was doing that on purpose or not, but his reaction to it shows it was an accident. And I like how Nero immediately goes from trying to be nice to the Doctor to, you fool, I'll kill you, I'll burn you, I'll do all this. And then suddenly he's like, no, brilliant, you're brilliant, I'll give you treasures. Because he realizes he can burn the old Rome so he can get approval from the Senate to build the new Rome. That's an insane, it takes a certain level of insanity to come up with that, but that's Nero. I like how he just goes from, I'll kill you, how dare you, to, you're brilliant, I say, I'll give you treasure. Just like that. I love that. That performance from Nero is great. The guy playing Nero, he's great. I love him. And I like how after Nero runs off, while the soldiers are still holding the doctor's like, well, you heard him. Let us go. You know, brilliant, brilliant. He likes it. Go. How he takes control of the situation and gets the guards to leave. Yeah, you heard him. Brilliant, brilliant. I enjoy that. That's the first Doctor. I can see the second Doctor being like that, too, in that same situation. Well, you heard him. He said, brilliant, brilliant. Let us go. Come on. I could see the second Doctor doing that exact same thing. So it's interesting because their doctors are so different, but I could see him reacting exactly like that. I enjoy Vicky and Ian's conversation when they get back to the house at the end. The fun little banter they have there. You really can see them getting together as a couple. Unlike a lot of 60s Doctor Who and even 70s and 80s Doctor Who, when people are just kind of suddenly they leave because they just fell head over heels with someone in like one story. It's really to see their relationship grow over the course of the time they're on the show. You really see that here. I like when Ian gets her back with the refrigerator joke. I think some of that, turkey you made still in the refrigerator, and she goes to get it, and she turns around like, wait a minute, because that's the same joke she played on him in episode 1. Then she starts hitting him with the pillow. And then he makes a comment of, oh, the pottery, this must be what they hit me with to knock me out. And you see Barbara, yeah, that must be what they hit you with to knock you out. Because, of course, she's the one who accidentally did it. And she's just like, but then just a couple minutes later, she mentions that. And he's like, well, why don't you clean up this mess? He's like, I didn't do it. She goes, well, I was just holding it. Your head got in the way. Then he's like, you hit me with it. You're the reason we went up. And he starts chasing her around. That whole little bit is just adorable. I love it. I've had relationships like that where we can banter and play like that. And some of the best relationships I've ever been in are relationships like that where you can be that level of playful. I had one girl I dated. We were like that even when we were out in public. We were very playful like that. I know one of the ladies that worked in Books a Millions, because we went in there a lot, called us the Lovebirds. Because we were very playful like that even when we were out. So I enjoy seeing that. And there's even a scene when they're sitting down right after Vicky and the Doctor leave, when he's looking down at her and she's looking up at him, and I almost expect them to kiss. They don't, of course, but I almost expect them to. It would have been a perfect moment for them to kiss each other. It was really well done. I do love the fact that the Doctor and Vicky are just like, y'all been sitting here idling away all this time, and he doesn't let them get a word edgewise and just pops a grape into Ian's mouth. That whole little bit's funny. And then seeing the TARDIS leave, and of course Vicky explaining everything to Ian and Barbara, including the stuff about the Emperor's new clothes, which is a nice lesson for the children watching. This very much is a nice historical lesson for children. Again, it's a children's show, especially at this era. So it's a nice little history lesson for them, not only about the fire of Rome and about Nero, but about the Emperor's new clothes. Pulls that off very effectively. I really, really enjoyed Part 4. The story as a whole, I liked. I didn't care for Episode 1, but I wonder if I was hitting maybe some First Doctor fatigue, because I've watched a lot of the First Doctor. A lot of you have been very generous about sending First Doctor stuff, because that was kind of the weak point in my Doctor Who knowledge, having only seen like 8 or 9 stories beforehand. So I've watched a lot of the First Doctor, and I wonder if I was hitting some fatigue. So after watching Part 1, I took a break, and I watched Planet of Fire with the 5th Doctor, because that was a patron request. So I got that done, and then I went back to this, and maybe the break and the respite just helped a lot, because Parts 2, 3, and 4 are phenomenal. I really enjoyed them. I really, really liked them. The acting, some of the fighting is really well done, especially that fight at the end of Part 3 is really well done. All of the cast do good. I like the fact the bald guy did turn out to be a pretty cool guy. I've talked about in other episode reviews of the story. I wasn't quite sure about him. The actor playing him does a good job, but I couldn't quite tell if he was a good guy or if he was a bad guy or where he fell. It's nice to know that he was a good guy at the end of the day trying to help Barbara. I enjoyed that. The actor playing Nero is great. All 4 of the main cast do a fantastic job in this. And even the guy who works kind of as the slave trader, who's kind of like, I don't know, he looks like he's the captain of the guard or some, the dark curly-haired guy. He's good. I really like him in this. It's a really well-cast story. I like the set designs. I really enjoyed in Part 3 when they're, I think it's Part 2 or Part 3, when they're on the ship. It might have been Part 2. You know, when they're on the ship, the scenes of the storm with the lightning and the water looked really good. And then when it looks like water's flooding into the ship, again, it looks kind of like a theatrical performance, but I like that, so I really enjoyed that. I like the kind of bond Ian forms with the other guy on the ship, that they kind of stick together throughout the course of the story. I really like the Romans. I know a lot of people seem to not be as keen on it. I'm guessing I like it more than its reputation. I really enjoyed it. Aside from part 1. Part 1 didn't really enthuse me, but parts 2, 3, and 4, I thought was really, really good. I very much enjoyed it. And I think a lot of it is just down to the performances. They're really good. I enjoy, especially at the beginning of part 2, when Hartnell stops the assassin. He just beats up on the assassin. Doesn't break a sweat. It looks like he's having fun. Just a lot of fun with it. Especially when he grabs him and flips him. Pertwee style. I was sitting there going, 1, your 3 is showing. Just floop. And then when Vicky comes in and the guy goes out the window, the doctor's like, well, what did you interrupt me for? I had him right where I wanted him. I had him all nice and softened up. I love that. And the doctor's like, I'm so used to outwitting my foes. It's nice to have a nice round of fisticuffs every now and then. I enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun. This story has a lot of those moments, those little scenes that get me either giggling or get me smiling that I really like. And I love when a Doctor Who story does that. So yeah, I really enjoyed the Romans. So what do you think of the Romans? I would like to know. Comment down below and let me know your thoughts on it. Other things to do while I have you here, go ahead and click the like button and the subscribe button. If you watch the channel regularly and haven't subscribed yet, why not? It's free and it helps me out, and I certainly appreciate it. I'm very grateful for all of my subscribers. I also have a Patreon if you would like to support me that way. There's a link to that excuse me, down in the description below, as well as a link to my Amazon wish list, which I update regularly as well, and my P.O. box is down there. If there's anything you would like to send me, Doctor Who related or otherwise, most importantly though, thank you for watching.